Assalamualaikum and good morning, good afternoon or good night, good evening. Uh, Welcome back to BKU 2333 Chapter 5 Two-Port Networks. Today we're going to discuss on admittance parameter. So consider the two diagrams again. We have a voltage source and we have current sources for the two-port terminals. And we assume that there are no independent sources in the network. And we can say that the equation that relates current and voltage through Y11, Y12, Y21 and Y22 is shown, and we are using the current sources. Thus, if we collect the Y terms together, I1, I2 equals to Y multiplied with V1, V2, and these Y terms are called admittance parameters or simply Y parameters, and they have units of Siemens. Alright, considering I1 and I2, how do we start solving it? We give a current source at port 1, input port, and for port 2 we short circuit to get a V2 of 0 because we want to cancel out the second term in both equations, and thus we have Y11 equals to I1 over V1 and Y21 equals to I2 over V1. And this Y11 is the short circuit input admittance, and Y21 is the short circuit transfer admittance from port 1 to port 2. So moving on, how do we solve for V2, Y12 and Y22? We connect the current source to port 2 and we short circuit port 1 to get V1 equals to 0. And we can obtain Y12, which is I1 over V2 at V1 equals to 0, and Y22, which is I2 over V2 at V1 equals to 0. Y12 is the short circuit transfer admittance from port 2 to port 1, and Y22 is the short circuit output admittance. Alright, let's go to an example. Determine the Y parameters of the following circuit. This is circuit, it has two ports, V1 and V2, and there are three resistors in the middle. We have 4 ohms, 2 ohms and 8 ohms. And we know that Y11 is I1 over V1 and Y21 is I2 over V1, and both of these are at conditions V2 equal to 0, and Y12 is I1 over V2 at V1 equals to 0, and Y22 is I2 over V2, the output admittance at V1 equals to 0. So this is the admittance parameter that we need to find. The unit is in Siemens. So let's go through it step by step. Now we insert the current source at V1 and we short circuit V2. The reason is V2 we want it to become 0. And Y11 equals to I1 over V1 and Y21 equals to I2 over V1. And the circuit becomes this way because 8 ohms has been neglected because the short circuit from V2. So we have Y11 equals to I1 over V1, or it's actually 1 over Z1, and that is simply 1 over the 4 ohm resistance in parallel with the 2 ohms, and we have Y11 is 0.75. Now the next one is Y21, and that can be obtained because both resistors 2 ohms and 4 ohm are parallel, and the direction of I2 is negative. So I2 multiplied by 2 ohms is equal to minus V1, or I2 equals to minus V1 over 2, but we need Y21 in terms of I2 over V1, so that is negative. So moving on to the second step, we now insert the current source at V2 and we short circuit V1 to make V1 equals to 0. These are the two admittance parameters that needs to be found. And by doing that, we're actually neglecting the 4 ohm resistance, and we can obtain I1 because both resistors 2 ohms and 8 ohms are parallel, and note that the direction of current is reversed, so the voltage is negative. I1 multiplied by 2 ohms is equals to minus V2, or I1 equals to minus V2 over 2. y12 is I1 over V2, so we'll just move it around. It will be negative 1 over 2, that is negative 0.5. Now for y22, I2 over V2 is actually 1 over Z2, or the admittance from the output point of view, and that is 1 over 2 in parallel with 8 ohms. And by doing that, we'll have the value as 0.625. So in total, our admittance parameters are as shown: 0.75 minus 0.5 minus 0.5 and 0.625 in Siemens. Right, let's try an exercise and obtain the Y parameters for a network below. So we have 4 resistance, 6, 6 and 3 and 3, and to get Y11 and Y21, we'll insert a voltage source at port 1 and short circuit at port 2. By doing that, we can see that V1 equals to the 6 ohms in series with 6, which is parallel with 3. Notice that the 3 ohms is neglected because V2 is short circuit. So we have V1 equals to 8I1, and Y11 is I1 over V1, and that will make it 1 over 8. And I2, this is the current division. So I2 is current division from I1. And why it's negative? Because the direction of I2 is negative. So it's negative 6 over 6 plus 3, the 6 ohms and the 3 ohms in parallel. And that will give us minus 2 over 3 V1 over 8, because I1 is V1 over 8. And we have I2 equals to minus V1 over 12. And we'll get Y21 is equal to I2 over V1, and that is minus 1 over 12. Right, for Y22 and Y12, we'll short circuit V1 to make it 0, and V2 will give voltage source. So Y22 is I2 over V2, or is actually the output admittance, that is 1 over 3 in parallel with 3 plus 6 and 6 in parallel. So you can see that that is 1 over 3 in parallel with 6, and we get that as 1 over 2. And I1 equals to minus I0 over 2, and I0 is equals to 3 over 6 plus 3, 3 over 6 plus 3 multiplied with I2, that is the current division, and we get 1 over 3 I2, and I1 is equal to minus I2 over 6, right, and that is minus 1 over 6 multiplied with 1 over 2 V2, and that is minus V2 over 12. So Y12 is minus 1 over 12, and we have completed the admittance parameters. This as shown: 1 over 8 minus 1 over 12 minus 1 over 12 and 1 over 2 in Siemens. So thank you for doing this.